Chapter 9 Radio Rights. You were smiling to yourself as you worked in the basement. It wasn't a common occurrence, but then neither was texting a cute guy all morning about stuff either. It was all just small talk. You talked about Grilby's bar and other monster businesses you've been to. He talked about what places his job took him to. You were just finishing up putting a machine part together when Red walked downstairs. Looks like this would be one of those days he decided to help. Hey, Red, how's it? Yikes! You ended up dropping the part. A thunk sound heard as you stared at Red. He always looked a little rough, a couple of small cracks here and there, which made him look more jaded compared to classic Sans. Now he had a big crack line moving along his forehead, a missing tooth, and you noticed he was limping as he came down the stairs.
Ah, what is it, kid? Find me so hot you can't take your eyes off me?
Joked the skeleton with a wink. Are you okay? You asked, taking a couple of steps closer to get a better view of the damage. It didn't look any prettier up close. Red's cheeks turned slightly crimson as he suddenly found the floor fascinating.
Jeez, don't make a big deal about it, kid. I just got roughed up a little at Grilby's. Picked one too many fights,
Red said, crossing his arms. Okay, but shouldn't you get some monster candy or something for it? I mean, I don't want you to have to help me down here injured, you said, recalling the 1 hit point status he used to have. Back when you first arrived, Classic Sans explained how fragile judge skeletons were. Luckily, hit points increased for Classic Sans after he got to the surface, and the same for the others. But you were still reminded of how it used to be so dangerous for them to get even a little hurt.
Yeah, Classic Paps will normally make us somebody. Hasn't talked much to us since the whole spaghetti friendship dinner confession,
Red said as he moved past you to grab a part off the floor. You saw him wince when bending down, the motion obviously causing pain. Red, just sit down, and I'll go ask Classic Paps for some monster candy, you said, grabbing his arm and pulling him to the nearby chair. Even now he could easily resist you, but he went with your tugging, the grin back in place. You suddenly found a large arm circling your waist and a chin resting on your shoulder. Your cheeks instantly turned red, and it wasn't just from the body warmth you felt rubbing against you.
Sorry, kid. Just tired here. Guess I'm in worse shape than I first thought,
Red said, leaning some weight on you. Not all of it, that would have toppled you. Just enough to make you feel his cheek nearly nuzzle yours as his ribs rubbed against you almost affectionately. It's fine. Just stay seated until I get back, you said, as you finally made it to the chair. The arm reluctantly let you go, Red falling into the chair with a grunt. You headed upstairs, a twinge of guilt following you. You didn't regret setting the record straight with Classic Paps, but at the same time, you weren't looking to cause friction with a family that already suffered loss. Classic Paps was in the kitchen washing dishes. You paused, taking a step in the kitchen, wondering exactly what reaction you would get. Would Classic Paps be angry with you for showing him the truth of what happened with his friendship spaghetti? His head turned your way, a smile still in place, which was good.
Ah, reader, I've been meaning to look for you. Stay right there for a second,
Classic Paps said, before putting a dish away and then opening a drawer. You found yourself tensing, your imagination telling you to get ready to duck if he was looking to throw something at you. Instead, he pulled out what appeared to be a card. Then, with the card in both gloved hands, he slowly approached you, smile still in place, if twitching slightly.
Reader, I made this for you. Please read it,
Classic Paps said, holding out the card. You slowly took it and read the letters drawn carefully on it.
Thank you for eating my friendship spaghetti. Please be my friend.
The paper was probably originally white, but colored pencil was used to draw rainbow colors in the background. A giant bowl of spaghetti drawn in the center of the card below the words. It reminded you of the cards kids made in school, only the artwork was done so well. Classic Paps really did have a way of making drawings both vibrant and beautiful. You momentarily forgot why you even came looking for him, simply studying the card for a minute. You were smiling again before you even realized it. Classic Paps, this is really great. Thank you, you said, placing it carefully under your shirt.
Thank you, Rita. It was my way of saying sorry for the way I behaved. I hope to earn your friendship.
Classic Paps said, smile widening. I'd be good with trying to be friends, but, we do need to talk about something else. Red downstairs is hurt. Do we have any monster candy for him? You said, trying to remind yourself you were there to help a banged-up skeleton. Classic Pap's smile disappeared, not frowning, just a neutral expression. Although any expression except outright smiling didn't look normal on Classic Paps.
I suppose I can find some around here for him. Actually, I'd also like to discuss something with you outside first.
Classic Paps said as he turned and pulled open more kitchen drawers. You want to go outside? You asked, seeing Classic Paps pull out 2 golden-wrapped candies.
Ah, yes. Here we go. Yes, Rita, there's something we need to address. Please follow me.
Classic Paps said, already walking past you. You found yourself following the tall skeleton through the front door to the driveway. He waited patiently until you came to stand next to him, right behind your Honda.
Could you please explain why this is on your car, Rita?
Classic Paps said with a gesture. You turned and found your jaw dropping as you read angry words spray-canned on your bumper. Monster fucker. I don't know, you said, staring at the words. You instantly thought of Scott, but didn't know how to explain. Wasn't sure if you wanted to explain.
Well, I checked the cameras. No one came to the mansion and did it. It looks like it happened when you and Blue were out last night.
Classic Paps said, this time definitely frowning as he stared at the bumper. It must have been when we were at the bar, you muttered. Thinking about it, both you and Blue could very easily have missed the words as you got into the car to drive back home. Did someone hear Blue call you boyfriend and decide to do it? You weren't in the bar that long before running back out.
Rita, I need you to be completely honest with me. Is it possible someone at your campus did this?
Classic Paps asked, gesturing to the words. You almost opened your mouth to lie, but it stuck on your tongue. You didn't want to get into explaining Scott, especially when it could have just been some angry bar patron. At the same time, you didn't want to lie to his face, especially after the whole conversation on being friends. Outright lying reminded you of Tiffany. It's possible, but unlikely. I was at a bar and I'd sooner bet it was just a drunk jerk, you said, hoping the answer would end this awkward conversation. You were going to need to get a sponge and soap to try to clean this off.
And I'm going to have to insist you have a bodyguard.
I'm sorry, a what?
A bodyguard. Perhaps you are not familiar with the term. You see, it's a person.
Yes, Classic Paps, I know what a bodyguard is, but I don't need one, and I couldn't afford one anyway, you said with a roll of your eyes.
Oh, good heavens, no! I'd never have you pay for one. We have 3 royal guards here, myself included, who are experts on being bodyguards.
Classic Paps said with a flourish, gesturing to himself. I'm gonna take a guess that Black did not tell everyone else he was fired. Classic Paps, as much as I appreciate the offer, I'm going to refuse, you said, smiling slightly. You should be annoyed, but the offer to protect you was actually a little endearing.
Oh, I'm not giving you a choice. I'm afraid this will be a requirement to stay employed.
Excuse me? Okay, so now it was annoying.
Yes, I know it'll take longer to see my brother, but you are my friend, Reader, and friends protect their friends, even when the said friend may be angry at you for doing so.
Classic Pap said, smile gaining a nervous twitch. Damn it, why did he have to word it like that? Ugh, all right. I guess you can come with me on campus if you are really worried. I mean, it could be a little boring.
Unfortunately, reader, due to my brother's absence, I'm having to handle responsibilities which take up much of the day. I was going to have one of my fellow royal guards handle this duty.
What if they're not interested?
Nonsense! Why, I know for sure Blue.
Not Blue, you interrupted, hands raised. Classic Paps looked at you puzzled, head cocking to the side.
I'm sorry, reader. After seeing you arrive together last night, I thought things were going better with him.
They are. He even agreed to stop calling me his boyfriend, but he also agreed to, give me space and not crowd me so much. I don't think it'd be good for either of us if we hung out together all day, you said, stomping down the twinge of guilt you felt. You did not want to risk a relapse in Blue's behavior. You'd sooner let your whole car get spray painted.
Well, then, that just leaves Black. He's not the type to want to do guard duties other than for the royal family, so I'm not sure if he'd agree.
Classic Paps, how about we compromise? If Black agrees to bodyguard me, then I'll agree to it. If he doesn't, then we agree I just be more careful, you said with a raised finger, trying not to smile. Forget compromise. This was practically you getting your way. No way was Black going to agree to tail you all day at campus. Protect the guy who got him fired? You just didn't see it happening.
I suppose it's a reasonable compromise. Very well, reader. If he agrees, then you'll find him here at your car when you head to class later today.
Classic Pap said as he held out his hand. The two wrapped candies glittered on his red glove.
Please take these. One is for Red. The other I want you to keep in case you do get into trouble and need it.
Classic Pap said, waiting expectantly with monster candy out. You grabbed them with a nod, doubting you would need yours. Well, doubting you'd need it for trouble at campus. Maybe if you ever get food poisoning again, this could be a quick cure for it. Sure thing. Thanks, Classic Paps, you said with a genuine smile. It didn't happen as much as you liked, but you felt like you were the winner of this argument. Are you going to just keep standing there and gawking, human? Or are we going to leave? Right, sorry, you said, walking a little slower to your car. There was Black, dressed almost casual, wearing a collared shirt like always, but actually wearing jeans, which was a first. Admittedly, probably high-cost branded jeans you couldn't afford, but still, it was a leap down from $300 dress pants. You unlocked the doors, brain still trying to understand why the high and mighty Black would even agree to do this. I can't believe you still drive this pile of junk, Black grumbled as he got into the passenger side. It appeared safe to say you did not win the argument with Classic Paps after all. Black, do you understand why Classic Paps asked you to come along? You asked as you pulled out of the driveway. Maybe this was a misunderstanding. Maybe he just didn't know what was asked. Classic Paps was thorough in explaining how someone anonymously threatened you and you were in need of protection. I would have liked to review the graffiti for clues, though, before you cleaned it off. Sorry, you muttered, not really meaning it. Excuse you for not wanting everyone at college to see a profanity sprayed on your car. Right. Let's be clear about procedures. I go where you go, even join you at the restroom where you humans do those things which disgust me. Sorry again, guess we can't all be magic creatures who fart rainbows. I don't, as you say, fart. Do you really dress like that for class? Yes, you growled, quickly reaching for the radio. Music appeared to be a much better option compared to conversation. Some alternative rock band came on, one of your favorite bands. You dress like a junkie living under a bridge, and let's actually listen to real music, not this noise, Black said, changing the dial to some classical Beethoven. Okay, that does it. You pulled the car to the side of the road, hands squeezing the wheel harder than normal. When Tiffany was around, Black may have ordered you about, but he never actually hung out with you. For the first time you realized, yes, things could have been worse when living at the mansion. You turned to him, seeing him cross his big arms while cocking his head to the side. I'm sorry, is the human having a hissy fit? The human doesn't want to hang out with someone who, as the ambassador pointed out, treats him like dirt. You snapped back. The word ambassador got you a flinch as Black looked away from you. Look, I'm not expecting you to act nice because that's impossible. But please don't insult literally all of my tastes and preferences, or else this isn't happening. Classic Paps will fire you if you don't let me bodyguard, Black said. You blinked for a second. The response was even more childish than normal. What was really weird was for all of his complaints so far, he hadn't actually complained about having to do the bodyguard work. Black, why did you even agree to this? I mean, I'm really not in danger. The security at campus is pretty good. Just ask Red when he tried harassing me there. The drunk harassed you at campus. Is he somehow involved in this? Black asked, glancing back at the mansion in the distance. What? No. I mean, frankly, you were a bigger problem than him, you said, getting rewarded another flinch. The stout skeleton uncrossed his arms with a sigh. I will try to restrain my opinions, reader. I take my responsibilities as a royal guard seriously, though. Aren't you technically not one anymore since you, got fired? You asked, brain not catching up with the mouth. You were rewarded a full-on glare with violet eyes glowing bright. I'm still one in spirit, Black said, each word coming out almost like a growl. Those sharp teeth were suddenly a lot more intimidating. Right, Spirit, let's get going, you said, hastily putting the car back into drive gear and getting back on the road. An excellent idea, human. The rest of the drive was done with classic music filling the air. As a peace offering, you decided not to change the channel. You felt relief as you parked the car, glad to be around other people who didn't actually think you looked like a junkie. At least, you hope to God they didn't. Before we continue, what do you want your danger word to be? Black asked as he stepped out at a slower motion, eyes scanning the people nearby. Danger word? You asked as you locked the car. A word which lets me know you are in trouble in case you aren't able to state it clearly due to circumstances. What do you mean by circumstances? Gun barrel against your back, poisoned and need immediate medical attention. I could list a dozen scenarios. How's a danger word going to let you know I'm poisoned? Will you just give me a stupid word? Black growled, hands on hips. Okay. Arithmetic. Very well. Arithmetic is our danger word. So, is it a good danger word? I believe you asked me just 10 minutes ago not to express opinions of how terrible you do things. Thanks. Surprisingly, from there, things weren't too bad. He didn't hover over you, actually keeping a distance of 10 feet back as you walked to the campus building. You tensed when he went over to your professor, fearful of him telling the guy how you needed a bodyguard. Instead, he said he heard good things about the class and was wondering if he could observe from the back. The professor, of course, agreed, the college trying its best to come off as a monster-friendly education institution. Others gave Black curious glances, some saying hello. He would give a nod, eyes never staying in one place. The class went smoothly, and in no time you found yourself entering the hallway to your next one. How's it going, monster fucker? You didn't notice him right away. There were so many students in the hallway. Scott was only a foot away when you heard the whispered words, spoken so softly no one else could hear. You jerked back from him, feeling a large hand grab your shoulder and pull you even further. Scott was already walking away as Black almost dragged you to an empty classroom. You tried to protest and noticed side glances from other students, but you were already inside with the door closed before the thoughts could form into words. So he's the one, Black said, looking you over. What are you talking about? You asked, trying your best to keep your expression neutral. Stop trying to hide it. I heard what he said to you. You could hear him? I mean, he just whispered it, you said, having trouble looking at him. You didn't want things to go this far. You didn't want Classic Paps to make you have a bodyguard, and you definitely didn't want said bodyguard to find out about Scott. You felt two hands this time on your shoulders, finding yourself looking up at Black's face. He was frowning again, but it was different. It wasn't the frown which said he was ticked off at you. He actually looked concerned, worried for you. Such a foreign expression you never saw before. Reader, please tell me what's going on. I am here to help. I take my responsibilities as a royal guard seriously, though. There were a lot of things which came to mind when you thought of Black. Narcissistic jerk, high-class snob, and egomaniac were just a few words you associated with him. Slacker wasn't one of them, though. When Black made a commitment to something, he put all his effort into it. Uh, it, it was around the time when Classic Sans was looking for applicants for the assistant position.